Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a TV review. We don't do a lot of TV reviews on here, but I was fortunate enough to be sent the first 3 episodes of Echo from Disney, so naturally, I'm gonna talk about them. The review embargo for this lifts right when the show drops, so this drops right when the show does. So when you watch this video, I'm only gonna be reviewing the first 3 episodes, but after a few days, let some time pass for people to watch the show this weekend, I will be doing a full spoiler review of the show eventually. I don't want to call the video like a full review of Echo or like Echo review because I've only seen 3 episodes, and I hate when other channels kind of do that where they say it's a review and they start the video by saying, oh, I haven't seen it all. So that's kind of where we're at now, but I will break down the first 3 episodes I've seen and my thoughts on the series so far. And don't worry, no spoilers in this one. Let's start with the first episode. On the negative side, it definitely feels like a glorified recap. And what I mean is you're kind of catching up on Echo's story from where she began as a child to where we meet her after Hawkeye, leading into the current timeline of this show. Now, within that catch up, you get a lot of really great stuff. There's an incredible 6-minute fight scene in the first episode that's amazing, and seeing where she kind of fits in with Kingpin during that time was really interesting to see, and it kind of answers some of the questions we had about the MCU going forward. And that one trailer certainly seemed to suggest that the Netflix Marvel shows were canon, and there's a line or two from people in this episode that makes it seem like it's canon as well. Fingers crossed. I hope to God they are. During some of the action sequences throughout the first 3 episodes, sometimes when Echo's on the ropes or needs to get back into action, the sound will cut out. So it's just kind of focusing on what she's feeling in the moment. And then as she kind of starts getting back into it, the sound will come back in. I thought that was a very cool creative choice. In regard to the first episode too, the negative side of it is, like I said earlier, it does feel like a glorified recap. And while it does have great moments within that recap, a lot of it even just recycles footage from Hawkeye, not just little clips, entire scenes, which was kind of disappointing in a way. But, once the first episode's done and you're caught up with the story and where she is, we get into the second episode, which, while not as exciting and action-packed as the first episode, it does explore a little bit into Maya's backstory and to her ancestors as well, which I'm not going to really dive into why that's important, but when you watch the show, you'll see why it is. And in this episode, when you really kind of get to explore with Maya a bit more, and she's in her hometown, she's interacting with people who she's known her whole life while trying not to hurt their feelings, while she's trying to stay focused on a mission. That mission, by the way, and here's another kind of low point, it's basically just to disrupt Kingpin's business. In a very cool and badass way, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Is just oh, my plan is to kind of just make life hell for that company that I used to work for. I know company is an exaggerated term, but you know what I mean. And while you definitely see the motivation there, maintaining that as compelling is difficult, and it's kind of pushed its thread in the second episode until we get to the third episode. And I will say, of the 3, the third episode is the best one of the 3. More incredible action on display in this one. There's an amazing fight scene at a roller skating rink that is awesome. And this is when you kind of really start seeing Maya come into her own on this journey, kind of away from Kingpin's grasp. Oh, and I won't tell you what episode it happens in, but you've seen Daredevil in the trailers. He is within the first 3 episodes, and it's very, very good. If you're a fan of Daredevil, you'll be very pleased. And where the third episode ends, I see why they chose to stop it there, because it ends in a very interesting place for episodes 4 and 5. But at the same time, 3 was the episode that really finally hooked me into the show. I decently liked what I'd seen before, but 3 kind of got me okay, I'm in this, and there's 2 left. And I know that this has kind of been a problem with some of the Marvel shows recently, especially throughout the past year in 2023, but man, the show really has to stick the landing for me to really lean positive on it. Because like I said, while there's a lot of great stuff happening within the episodes, putting the puzzle piece together is different, and some of it's good, some of it's boring, some of it isn't compelling, and some of it's just I don't see where this is going, but we will at the end. Alaqua as Maya and Echo is doing a good job, especially in the physicality part. She really physically takes on this role, and you see her face in a lot of the fight scenes. And, well, obviously she doesn't do every stunt. When she does, you completely buy that she's capable of doing those things, and that's not an easy thing to do. Vincent D'Onofrio is Vincent D'Onofrio. He's fantastic, especially as Wilson Fisk. Maya has a cousin in the show named Biscuits. He has some pretty funny lines and good moments that I did laugh at pretty hard. But something I will say about the humor in the show, specifically with that character and some other things, you'll find like the typical MCU humor in the show, but it's right next to TVMA R-rated violence. And that blend doesn't really work together. You need a different humor style for that type of violence. By the way, the violence, awesome. I love it, and it fits the tone of the show quite well. I won't give away many details, but in the first 3 episodes, you start kind of tiptoeing into what Echo's powers are going to be. And while the powers themselves aren't bad, and while the story connected to them is starting to be interesting, I'm not entirely sure it's necessary to have powers be introduced at this point because of how grounded the story is. The show is very street level, and I kind of like where that is, and I'm hoping in the final 2 episodes it doesn't go too off the walls with the powers. Ultimately, the first 3 episodes of Echo are equally rushed and overdrawn out, which seems like an oxymoron contradiction, but you'll see what I mean as you're watching the series. There's a lot of great stuff in what's being seen, especially in the 1st and 3rd episode, and if it ends strong, if episodes 4 and 5 stick the landing, I will go full positive on the show and say it's a good show, but it's really coming down to these last 2. I will say, after 3 episodes, it's already better than fucking Secret Invasion. Jeez. And like I said, after a couple days in the weekend, a full spoiler review of the whole series will drop, so be on the lookout for that. And so yeah, that is my review of the first 3 episodes of Echo. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Disney for getting me the first 3 episodes to watch. And once you see it, what did you think about it? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.